Good morning, friends.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning, sir.
I welcome you all on the Repertory series, Understanding Disposition through the Repertory. So, today we are going to learn on the angry dispositions, and today we have with us our team star speaker, Dr. Binita Chauhan. I welcome Dr. Binita Chauhan on the stage. So, she is going to present angry dispositions, few angry remedies, and a few rubrics of anger with us. So, Dr. Binita, all the best and wish you good luck.
So, hello, great morning to everybody. So, this jumping emoji shows that what we're going to learn today. I go ahead. The first, I tribute to our legend, our masters. I say two line for them कि कुछ लोगों की किस्से कहानियाँ मशहूर होती हैं, लेकिन ये वो लोग हैं जिनकी ज़िंदगी खुद एक मशहूर किताब है. And we read it today. Then I give tribute to Einstein of homeopathy. Our sir, Praful Vijayakar sir, wherever he is today, he always spread his light and he is always a shining star. Then I give honor the thank to our guru sir, Dr. Amit Gohel sir. So I give the one word to sir, this is Bagman. You know, we all see this movie Bagman and this song that Bago ke har fool ko apna samjhe Bagman. The sir is a Bagman for the young homeopathic garden. And we are the different flowers and spreading the gem of homeopathy toward the universe because of sir. So there is a big thank you to sir. So let's start our today's topic, the angry disposition. So first I put some light on the disposition. So what is the disposition according to you? So disposition is a genetic trait character that inherited individualize the person. It is the prominent or prevailing tendency of one's spirit, nature, mental and emotional outlook of the mood, characteristic attitude. And it is the tendency to act a specific way. It is the state of habit and one usual mood. I give the one example. स्कूल में अगर टीचर किसी बच्चे को डांटते हैं तो एवरीबडी रिएक्ट अकॉर्डिंग सिचुएशंस के हिसाब से रिएक्ट करते हैं. कोई बच्चा होता है रोने लगता है, कोई रिवेंज लेता है, चेयर के नीचे गम चिपकाना और सामने जवाब देना. कोई बच्चा होता है तो सडनली फीवर में चला जाता है स्कोल्डिंग के आफ्टर. देन कुछ बच्चे को कोई फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता, बोलते रहते हैं. हाउ दिस रिएक्ट डिफरेंटली बिकॉज अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट डिस्पोजिशन. Disposition is also mentioned in our organelle of medicine. So Master Hahnemann says in aphorism 211 that patient disposition chiefly determine the selection of homeopathic remedy. In aphorism 210, the patient disposition along with the totality of symptom, it is would trace the accurate pictures of disease miasm to get success. This is so the different phases of the person which represent the disposition. Dr. Hahnemann says that the disposition can undergo the change. The changed disposition should be considered for the prescribing. The footnote 121. And it is the mental disease like the insanity where the mind is out of control. Then the changed disposition should not be considered. You can refer the aphorism 210 to 215 and the footnote 121 to 122. So now going toward the anger. So what is anger according to you? How we describe the anger?
It's passions, annoyance.
So for further, the anger is the most basic emotion of every human. It is a negative response. So what do you think, that anger is a good or bad for health or bad for us?
It's bad. It's a bad emotion.
So clinic में काफी बार ऐसे patients आते हैं. No, especially the parents, especially the husband and wife. The parents is expressed like this. You know, मेरा बच्चा आजकल बहुत irritable हो चुका है. एक बार पूछो, दो बार पूछो तो अचानक से गुस्सा हो जाता है, आंसर नहीं देता. वाइफ कहती है कि मेरा हस्बैंड का नेचर बहुत गुस्से वाला है, खाने में कुछ भी ऊपर नीचे हो जाता है तो तुरंत गुस्सा कर देते हैं, तुरंत चिड़चिड़ा जाते हैं. Husband is says that my wife is some irritable and angry. So आपके पास ऐसी कोई मेडिसिन है जो इसका एंगर, इसका इरिटेशन कंट्रोल कर सके? आप इसको कंट्रोल कर सकते हो. So what is our answer? We can give the medicine for them. And further you asking them that how its effect on that person and because of what you want to that medicine. So they says that कुछ effect तो नहीं होती है लेकिन anger is a harmful for health. That's why we want the medicine. But in a particular situation, in a particular reaction of anger is normal because it's a normal human experience. We all are experiencing it, but it's expressed as an exaggerated way when it's out of control and harmful for physics, for mental, harmful for others or for himself. Okay, then they need us. So we see the definition of anger is a strong feeling of displeasure or usually of antagonism. The antagonism means the feeling of hate or being against something or somebody. And the displeasure, the feeling of being annoyed or not satisfied. So we further go towards the anger. This is what the different expressions of the anger. You can see the face, the reaction, their expression. They're not saying anything, but faces tell everything. Okay, their behavior. You can see their eyes, their furrow. Look at the face, the irritability. This is how the different expressions of the anger. Now we search on the Google and find out the synonyms of the anger. So that shows us the annoyance, vexation, exasperation, irritation, indignation, violence, displeasure, resentment, the rage, fury, wrath, the outrage and the aggression, the dyspepsia, spleen, cholera and bile. Why this is given? Because of indigestion. Indigestion is not digestible thing for someone that shows the anger, and this is represent this term. So in our clinic, the patient is expressed in a different way, and also shows the anger. And this is what? So we find so many patients into the clinic. Is very impatient. अगर थोड़ी सी भी देर हो जाती है तो they become angry. They become very impatient. कुछ होते हैं जो झगड़ के चले भी जाते हैं अगर थोड़ी बहुत देर हो जाती है तो. Look at the action. People are expressing the anger in very different way. Some are abusing language. Some are use their behavior, the action, and they look like anger. Some has a silent anger and goes into the revengefulness. And some suppresses anger and harming themselves. So this is very different way to expressing the anger. So now go under detail. So first is the annoyance. What is the meaning of annoyance? The someone or something that annoys, bother or irritate. It is very primary thing and very basic thing. And then the vexation, the feeling and the state of being annoyed, worried by small irritation. Now feelings is come and we go upstairs. Then the exasperation, the irritated or annoyed, especially when you cannot do anything to solve the problem. You find this type of personality surroundings when they stuck something and somewhere, okay, they got so irritable and angry. So next is indignation, the anger aroused by something unjust, unworthy or mean. You can find the very typically this personality कि गलती किसी और ने की, सजा मुझे मिली, किया किसी और ने, भुगतना मुझे पड़ा. Because of that feelings, okay, they goes out of control sometimes. Next is resentment. The feeling of indignation, the displeasure or persistent ill will at something regarded as a wrong, insult or injury. Now insult is come. You can see the different types of feeling, different types of cause and the different words. Feeling of anger, irritation caused by sense of injury or insult. So now we going ahead, okay, this is what shows that out of controlness. Now what come? The rage. It's very strong and uncontrolled anger. You can show that this word is showing also the differentiation of miasm. How slowly the patient is going out of control. Now what? That fury. The intense. Now the word is come what? That disordered and often destructive rage. The destructiveness is come, there's a more syphilis. the wrath, the strong vague feeling of anger, and suggests desire or intends to punish to get the revenge. Okay, what is that the revengefulness is come? You can see nowadays there is so many web series represented this. Okay, punish. गलती किसी और की थी लेकिन कोई और punish कर रहा है because of their anger. The movies is coming, the एक villain return now. What he is doing that is punish the girls who cheated on her boyfriend and he killed her all. The another web series is Cadaver. You can see this. In this movie, what the doctor is doing that they killing the culprit. Okay, this is how they show the revengefulness, how show the punishing for other. Now the another terminology is outrage. Extreme anger and the strong feeling of unhappiness because of something bad, hurtful or morally wrong. And the aggression, the angry feeling or behavior that make you want to attack other people, fight or war without the reasonable cause. Okay, what is that? बैर बुद्धि, सोचा होचा कुछ नहीं, हमला कर दिया. So now going further, try to understand the language of miasm, how the miasm is represented. So that's the irritability, the sorry, the anger, psychosis, defense mechanism start. The rage, sorosyphilitic, suddenness, किसी ने कुछ pinch किया and the burst out, the going out of control. And the fury, mania, the syphilis, more syphilitic condition. So now we start from the basics. Sorry, what is the irritability? So irritability is easily annoyed, excited to impatience or anger. No, oversensitivity to something, impatience toward the something. It is the word, the excitatory ability that living organisms have to respond to change in the environment. And in human, irritability may be significant the transdiagnostic symptoms or disposition that occur across or at any point during the lifespan. And it is commonly defined as a tendency to react to stimuli with the experience of negative affection, the anger, and the temper outburst, which may or may not be the aggressive. If they going toward the aggressiveness, it's going toward the syphilis. So now, what is the difference between the irritability and anger? We have the both rubrics in repertory. We have also found irritability and anger. So what is the difference between the irritability and anger? So anger is a strong feeling of displeasure, hostility or antagonism toward someone or something, and also usually combined with the urge to harm. It is a more deeper feeling than the irritability. It is the emotion and the feeling. And anger is a mood, and irritability is the mood. Irritability is the state of quality of being irritated with excitability. It is the mood and oversensitiveness to all the impression. You can see the difference. Anger is a more higher version. So now let's start the journey of repertory. So now we explore it into the repertory and find out some interesting rubric. So we start with the irritability. So irritability day and night. You can see the medicine is come. The chamomilla, ignatia, indica, leg, opium, sorinum, stramonium. Irritability. Children in wants to be nursed in arms. You can see the remedies coming. The chamomilla, benzoic acid, irritability, slowness of others with chamomilla. You can see this type of personality. And someone is even riding the bike very slowly. The person is get irritable. जो पीछे चल रहे वो irritate कितना slow है. So this is also represent into the human tendencies. Irritability warms with sina. Irritability waking aggravation pacified with not be in intermittent fever. The only single remedy is the sina. The irritability send the nurse home out of the room. The chamomilla. Rocking fast is a sina. The irritability pain during face in. The chamomilla, the coffea, the graphitis, the creos or the nux vomica. This is the represent that the face is expressing the inner feeling, that insideness. perfect being aggravation. कोई देखे वो भी सहन नहीं होता. You can see the remedies is coming here. Irritability, fever intermittent after, SINA, single remedy. Parturition after, delivery parturition after, the chamomilla. The children in carried must be. Here the chamomilla and SINA both is come. But there is a different, one has need the rocking and one has need the carry. This is what the differentiation here. So now we see the cross reference of irritability. Of course the first is anger. Because anger primarily shows that be very difficult to differentiate this person is irritable towards something or angry towards the something. Then contradict disposition. If we are opposed to you, we also represent the irritability. Discontented, unhappy. This is also represent the irritability, morose, sulky, quarrelsomeness, scolding, restlessness, nervous, irritable, excitable, sanguine people. You see the remedy is coming. The sensitive, oversensitiveness and unfriendly human. This all also represent the irritability. And this is how we differentiate it. So now this is all we shows the rubrics of some irritability. And so most irritable remedy. Now we start. So let's study the remedy. The first remedy is the chamomilla. This is what the first remedy. Most irritable we all know. So Emil Tyler is so beautifully expresses about the chamomilla. It cannot bear. Cannot bear anything, cannot bear himself, cannot bear other people, cannot bear the pain, and cannot bear the things, want them and refuse them. Everything is simply intolerable. कुछ दो तो भी problem, कुछ ना दो तो भी problem. देखो तो भी problem, ना उठाओ तो भी problem. This is what typically the chamomilla constitution is. So Clark is so beautifully mentioned that about the aconite, belladonna and chamomilla. The aconite is turmoil in circulation. The belladonna is turmoil in brain and the chamomilla is turmoil in temper, the easily angry. So one has seen a person with the flu and not getting well as quickly as desired and suddenly impatient and irritable and goes towards the anger. A dose of chamomilla and the temperature promptly come down. So beautifully mentioned in our Materia Medica that you can see this type of patient in our clinic. You know, he come and he sit and he is in severe pain. So what he says, jaldi se theek kar do, dose de do. And when you ask the 1, 2 or 3 question, he getting so irritable. And that irritability shows in his face, in his expression. And you cannot dare to ask the question further because of that face looking. And the chamomilla has not only the bad temper. Chamomilla has not only the bad temper, but has an effect of bad temper. This is what a typicalness. Master Hahnemann says in footnote, Materia Medica Pura, so beautifully expresses the chamomilla in this paragraph that sometimes the dangerous illness resembling the acute bilious fever that often comes on immediately after the violent vexation, causing anger, and with heat of face, unquenchable thirst, the taste of bile, the nausea, anxiety, restlessness, etc. It is such a great homeopathic analogy with the symptoms of chamomilla that chamomilla cannot fail to remove the whole malady rapidly, specifically, which is done as if by the miracle by 1 drop of above mentioned juice. So beautifully he expresses the chamomilla. So Dr. Boric characterized the chamomilla as this is the first 2 lines of Boric. He expresses everything about the chamomilla. The chamomilla is sensitive, irritable, thirsty, hot and numb, and complaint for anger vexation. In every complaint, in every presentation, this shows the anger and vexation and the complaint because of that. The hot and numb and complaint disposition that is mild, calm and gentle contradict the chamomilla. You can never give the chamomilla to this type of personality. So first line of Kant to express the simply the oversensitiveness and the sensitivity of the chamomilla. Cannot bear, we see this. The general constitution state of chamomilla is the great sensitive to every impression, sensitive to surrounding and sensitive to person and above all the sensitive to pain. The pain is unbearable. So representation of chamomilla in clinic. We also see this the impatient, pure, him at once, the patient insists that the doctor, abhi theek kar do. Abhi theek kar do. And you never dare this much history. When we take the history, 1, 2, 3 question and they become so irritable. And they exaggerate that pain so muchly that we think that very serious condition of that chamomilla patient. Physical pain, as he dread the pain, he cannot bear it, and pain make the patient so impatient that they become unaware of his surrounding and goes into the delirious due to the pain. This is what the delirium due to the pain, how the unbearableness of chamomilla. And here say, mention that the घर और clinic दोनों को हिला के छोड़ेगा, and the patient look like a khunnas. The how his expression is represent himself. The here the some word, the impatient pain from irritability, pain during answering snappers, the morose pain after, the noise, inclination to make noise, abusive pain with. So one word for chamomilla, this is the capriciousness. What is the meaning of capriciousness? Does not know what he want and hard to please or satisfied. You can see the आप कुछ भी खिलौना दे दो, बहुत जिद करेगा, रोएगा, screaming and everything for that particular thing, and then when you give it, then it's throw it. This is what a typicalness. And the other word is come across that the mood repulsive, desire present thing, not refuse when offered, which are placed in at extra. You can see the medicine, the chamomilla, sina, dalkamara, staphycelia. The mood changeable and desire this and that. The mood changeability is coming when another remedy in our mind, that the pulsatilla. But look at the constitution of pulsatilla. What Borikis says, the mild gentle constitution will contradict to the chamomilla. And this is how we differentiate it. You can see the expression. What she is doing? Nothing. She just eating. But look at their expression. Khunnas. And this is how the patient is look at you. So now so beautifully express the woman of chamomilla in our materia medica. That woman flies into the temple and get a hemorrhage from the wound. Or a chamomilla woman flies into the fury and it's rewarded with an attack of jaundice. And one has seen this. Or nursing mother has a fit of anger and her milk poison her baby. Why this happening to the chamomilla woman? Because we see that pain is unbearable. And during parturition, during the delivery, what is come? The labor pain. And that pain is unbearable and going toward this. The chamomilla is one of the out of proportion drug. And here they differentiate the arsenic and chamomilla. The arsenic is a prostration out of proportion. And the chamomilla, there is a pain is out of proportion. That's why here the labor pain, this is come toothache and rheumatism. And this is how beautifully expressed in our materia medica. So Master Hahnemann says that the paralytic sensation of chamomilla in any part is never without accompanying the drawing and tearing pain. And the tearing of chamomilla is almost always accompanied by paralytic numb sensation into the part. So easily, the simple things are we know all these things are easily affected by the mortification, by shangling, so that the nerves become extremely sensitive from this causes and pain, convulsion, colic, headache and other kind of nerve symptoms set in. The nervous children when punished will go into the convulsion, and the oversensitive nervous woman will suffer from shangling, jerking and twitching of muscle from mortification and excitement because oversensitivity. कुछ भी सहन नहीं होता है, चाहे वो mortification हो या कुछ भी हो. So now very similar remedy to the chamomilla. What is that? Sina. The sina. So very closely allied to the chamomilla. We all know about the sina. Sorry. So this is pouring and pricking the finger into the nose. Very irritability. The cry, screaming. Okay. So ugly personality is coming. The main feeling of both this remedy, it not getting enough. The main feeling of both this remedy is they not getting enough attention from their parents. And the chamomilla react to this by loud striking and demanding and not quite unless the care it. And where the Sina react with irritability, temper tantrum. What is the temper tantrum? What is the meaning of temper tantrum?
Throwing into violence, anger. Obstinacy is the component of temper tantrum.
And throwing the thing, and again the capriciousness is come. We see in rubric the remedies is coming. The touch, aversion to being caressed, aversion to being indifferent to caress, striking in children at extra. So care, aversion to being discontented, displeasure, dissatisfied and everything with. ना तो किसी चीज से खुशी मिलती है, ना तो कुछ अच्छा लगता है, ना तो किसी चीज से satisfied होता है. आप कुछ भी दे दो. The fear approaching of other and child cannot bear have anyone come near him. Because in school this type of children is always sees alone because their irritability, there is a not making them any friend, and also there is a fear of approaching the other. Carry desire to be indifference cast toward. The wormy child will very restless at night, screaming out sharply in sleep. Okay, you can see that's kicking their both the legs in the night and shouting and cried. The child is cross and ugly like the chamomile. Kick and strike at the nurse and want to be carried or rocked or don't want to be touched or looked at. Touch, aggravation by the touch or look at, but also desire to be rocking amelioration into the Sina. You can see this child. Look at the face. You can differentiate that some child is so sweet and you आप उसे देख के ही ऐसा लगता है चलो उसे उठाए उसे खिलाए, लेकिन Sina child and Sina personality is like so irritable, the aura is so irritable, even he doesn't like to take him. So now let's explore the other expression of anger into the repertory. So now we going further toward annoyance, anger and vexation, the one step up. So here are some rubrics that annoyance after list with distress in stomach, kali bite. The intolerance, annoyance, pharum. You can see that pharum has that symptom that if you folding the crackiness, the paper को fold करते हैं उसका जो आवाज आता है वो भी unbearable.
Sensitive to noise.
Sensitive to noise. Sadness, annoyance from list, kali. The sadness, mental depression, annoyance after kali bite. And here the mention some rubric by the gentry that fever, purpural from fright, over excitement of all senses, every distant sound causes annoyance, fatal discharge. The single remedy is opium. You are saying the annoyance, purpural fever, every distant sound causes annoyance is opium. The work impossible, anger, vexation, aggravation, calcaria, pause. Wildness, anger, vexation after phosphoric acid. Intolerance, aversion to work, anger, vexation, aggravation. Now Swamika, the most workaholic. And this, see the rubric, we see this in now Swamika. Indifference, apathy, anger, vexation with distress in stomach after list. This is what Kali. Weeping, tearful mood, anger, vexation with violent, quarreling even to extreme malice and wrangle. Most the forgetfulness, anger, vexation with hepar. So fear, date of anger, vexation, aggravation, cholera in. You can see the typicalness of personality when there is anxiety is coming, when there is a fear, anxiety, that's showing the arsenic is represent in it. The work, mental aversion to Swamika, excitement, excitable, anger, vexation with the trembling and fluttering with the pain in shoulder, in valvular insufficiency, the single remedy. The excitement, excitable, anger, vexation with scolding, aggravation, the petroleum. The confusion of mind, anger, vexation after, the Noxomega. Sense, confused, anger, vexation after. The quarrelsome, scolding, anger, vexation after with weeping, Moscus. The dullness, anger, vexation with the carbo animalis. Lamenting, bemoaning, wailing, alternating with anger, vexation. The arnica, the single remedy. The company desired for dysmenorrhea in after anger, vexation, the arsenic. The stupefaction as if intoxicated, anger, vexation, aggravation, nux. You can see that both the anxiety stomach in anger, vexation after lipo And anxiety heart is also like O. The singing anger vexation after zing. Sensitive, oversensitive noise, sound to aggravate anger vexation, aggravation Kali. So let's go further towards the. So here I put some light on the Kali group. So what we know about the Kali group? We all know the Kali and the typical pictures of the Kali in our mind. So what we know about the Kali group? So first things, the duty bound. They are the people with strong principle and conviction. They live their life entirely by the rules, always stick to the norms and the rules. The fear and phobias and usually felt into the stomach. This is a typical symptom that anxiety felt into the stomach. Family oriented person. This is very famous line, work and hard to support them. Where whole life is surrounding the family. Close and reversed person, timidity, tendency to hold on the things. Pride, fear, anxiety about family, especially the children. Quarrelsome. So beautifully Dr. Praful Vijayakar sir mentioned the Kali in 3 words. The first one is timidity. The second one is anger. And the third one is oversensitivity. In book of Genetic Materia Medica, he expresses how the Kali goes into the oversensitiveness and the why. So entry point for the Kali is right-sided, timid, frightened easily, startle easily, anger, oversensitive, quarrelsome, antagonism with family, aversion to family and run away. You can see that how the change because of the miasm, the very family oriented Kali goes into the aversion to family and the quarrelsome with family and antagonism towards the family. So we see that how the Kali goes into that. There's so much anxiety about the children, we all know. अगर बच्चे के एग्जाम है तो टेंशन काली को होता है, अगर हस्बैंड को कुछ होता है तो टेंशन काली को होता है, and that about very anxious about their family members' health, and she is so much dependent on their family and support. But when the problem is arise, she fell for second when she does not get the support she need. Here the problem is arise. What she is all doing this thing for support, but when it's not given, so this complaint is arise. This can make her very irritable, angry, quarrelsome, striking a triple dream of quarreling with the dead relative of dead person as if they were alive and quarrel with her. Allen's Encyclopedia. So after quarreling, she get quite tearful, weeping when telling of her sickness, and also can display a more pitiable state of begging and entreating. When her efforts to get support she need fail and she become indifferent and in society, averse to husband, to member of family, shows disgust, hatred and becomes sulky and repulsive. This is how the journey of Kali. The one family oriented and goes towards angers and out of control. And this is represent also into the clinic. When the Kali patient is come into the clinic, firstly is very faithful and very good. But when is familiar to us and when he she or he dependent on us, and when it got not result, and she goes into the very irritable and fighting with you. This is also represented into the clinic. So here are the miasmatic differentiations of the Kali. The Sora, the fearful, frightened, easily anxious, startle easily and oversensitive. This is how his basic tendency. And psychosis, stiff, rigid, appear to be good, duty conscious. And now here she discontented, unhappy because it's not find the support. And for the support she is doing that duty bound, and this is what the psychosis. And now she going into the syphilis, easily angry, quarrelsome, hysteria, excitable and revolting. So here the rubric mentioned into the book of Genetic Materia Medica by Praful Vijayakar sir, how beautifully they mention the different Kali. Irritability, family to her. You can see the remedies come: Kali iod, Kali ferrocinatum, quarrelsome, scolding family with his or her, Kali car, Kali mute, Kali force, unfeeling heart, hatred family with his, Kali iod, irritability children toward, the most anxious about the children, and And now this is irritability children toward. Aversion to see her child from sadness, Kali Ayod. Violence, vehement, friend to his, the Kali Ars. The consolation, aggravation, friendly advice, Kali Kal. Kali desired to love ones, kill desire, Kill desire to love ones, the Kali Brome. Love perversity. You can see the syphilis, the love perversity, the Kali Nitrica. Antagonism with herself, Kali Kal. Aversion herself to Kali Force, and discontented himself with. There is a causticum in the Kali card. Okay, here show the pictures. You can what we see into the Kali, what is the insideness and how it represent himself. There is all the feeling and how he react. And this is what the anger, what you see on the surface. And this is what the behind feeling. That exhaustion, hurt, rejection, frustration, sadness, anxiety, loneliness, worry, helplessness, shame, guilt, disappointment, grief, stress and fear. The other emotion hither and there. And how this react in the way mental reaction and suppression. The anger is represented in mental reaction, means it goes out of control by the emotional plane. Like his reaction, his behavior goes into the red fury, suppressed. It's not represent in outside, but mean inside, and this is what the suppressed anger, and it shows into the physical state also. So now here some remedy under the rubric, the anger elements from aggravation. You can see the remedies: arnica, gelsemium, staphy, lyco, arsenic, petroleum, calibrome, hepar, sulfur, calcarea, stramonium, ignatia, hyoscyamus, nux vomica, cocculus, natrum, aconite, aurum, phos, opium, belladonna, coffea, tarantula, cuprum, cheridonium, pulsatilla, ipica, myrrh, colocin, chamomilla, baryta mule, lachesis. Here are some rubrics of anger elements from. Actually, this is very vast to describe the angers into the rubric, because anger has elements from, anger after, anger alternating. Here are some rubrics that present the anger element from, aggravation suppressed, ipica, lyco, staphy. You can see anxiety with, the remedies changed, the grief with silence, you can see the remedies coming, the anger elements from aggravation, fear and fright with. You can see the remedy, the laughing alternating with whipping, single remedy, platina. The anger alternating with hysteria, ignatia. So anger is changed, but the hysteria of ignatia is present. So anger with hysteria. This is what the typicalness of the personality. So if we talk about the anger and we forget the nux vomica, so kaise chalega? So the nux vomica. So we know that nux vomica is very angry remedy. Okay. So nux vomica is active, angry and impatient. The fiery temperament, nervous, excitable, violent, ugly, suicidal, homicidal impulse. Fault finding and reproaches other. Nux vomica is reproaches other. Teri hi galti hai. This is what the nux is. The frightfully apprehensive about the getting married. Delirium, tremens and headstrong and self-will. So strong-willed the nux vomica is. So Kant is so beautifully mentioned about the nux is the mental state is varied, but they all shows the oversensitivity, the irritability, the touchiness, the sensitive conditions, and they are never contented, never satisfied, disturbed by their surroundings, and they become irritable, so they want to tear the things to scold. Impulses are strongly marked at a time, and this is how it represents. The woman has an impulse to destroy her husband or to throw the child into the fire. You can see the violence of the nux vomica, and the impulse he intermingled with the violent temper cannot be controlled or opposed. If a chair is in the way, he kick it over, and if while undressing a part of his clothes should catch on a button, he would pull it off because he is so mad at this. You know, they represent the impatientness. Okay, बीच में अगर chair आती है तो उससे भी धक्का दे देता है. अगर बीच में अगर जैसे when he take out the clothes and the button is stuck, then tears the clothes. This is what the impatient is, and goes into the brain stack, brain fag. Okay, why? Because so much work, do this, and so much doing the things and goes toward the brain fag. And drive by impulse to committed act that verge upon insanity. The destructions of other in the natrum self has a strong impulse to destroy himself. And the argentum nitricum is particularly by jumping from the height, but he is avoid the placing himself in such a position. And nux vomica destroyed others. This is what the differentiation. The patient is broken down sexually because he is unusually endowed with sexual desire, and he indulged until the broken down. Sexual exhaustion is important, mental erethism, but relaxations on the intromission and drive to suicide. And so beautifully this word is represented in the nux vomica, the warrior, the knight, the emperor, the king, the expert, and the playboy. Now college, we know nux vomica by 3 words. Sharab, Shabab, Kabab. No, what is this nux vomica is? No, by he is what a warrior, the warrior by the blood, and success is not enough for the nux. He want to winning victory that given the meaning of his life. He want to win in his life. Doing this, and whatever he do this much gracefully that it has to be. The knight, the king, the emperor, the great businessman, the unstoppable, the fight against a bully, ruler and great leader. And this is what the nux is represent that word. The expert, this is so much expert because the very good intelligence, very sharp, very quick-minded. So he knows that what to do in the business and what to not do into the business, what to buy and what not. This represent that word. And the playboy, I tell you that shabab, sharab or kabab, the addicted to stimulation, buzz of victory, buzz of danger, buzz of the rich food and buzz of alcohol and sex. And this is what the nux is. Here are some rubric of nux vomica. The red fury delirium tremensing. You see red fury delirium tremensing. The nux vomica single remedy. The mania, madness, anger, vexation after. There is so many remedies. When you see the type of remedy which is coming in this rubric, confusion of mind, anger, vexation after. Nux vomica. इतना mind का use किया है that the state is come. Anger, temper, tantrum, opposition from slightest. You can see nux vomica. The distortion, face distortion, dragging, maniacal. Syphilis, the face distortion, maniacal. Unconsciousness, coma, delirium, tremensing, nux vomica. Impairing sleep during delirium tremensing, typhoid, nux vomica, single remedy. Abusive, insulting, intense language in purpular mania, nux vomica. Anxiety, hypochondriacal, mania to read the medical book. You know, nux vomica is just typical type of personality. When he come to you, he know that what he medicines take, what is that side effect, what is contained inside it. And he read the medical book about his disease. He read about his disease. The sensorious critical mania purpuralis in nux and platina. The delirium tremens mania upward to oversensitive with nervous excitability and malicious women. What is this mania? The alcoholic state and goes into the delirium due to the alcohol. The work mental aversion to anger, vexation, aggravation, nux. The constitution, choleric, ardent, disposition to anger, spied on deception, always irritable and impatient. The nux vomica. Alternating state, chill with anger, vexation, aggravation, nux. Chest, hemorrhage, anger, vexation, aggravation, nux. Vomiting, bile, bilious, anger, vexation, aggravation, thirst, with nux. We see this symptoms that vomiting is amelioration in morning. The nux is the face, convulsion, spasm, anger, vexation, aggravation. The nux. Anxiety health about brain fag, nux vomica. So here is mentioned that the mind disposition hypochondriasis brain fag with the single remedy is a nux. Irritability, sexual excitement from dream and orgasm in woman, nux vomica. The sexual libido, desire, increase, weakness with general, nux vomica. So very complementary to nux. Another remedies, lycopodium. Because lyco is also intellectual, but he's a cowardic inside, and nux vomica is a very much bravery. No, nux is. So lycopodium is sometimes called as a vegetable sulfur. Lycopodium is a part of calcarea, lycopodium and sulfur cycle. Represent that both the calcarea and sulfur. The calcarea present the human need for stability and security, which translates into the having the house, family, source of income, good health, protection. Stability also entails the lack of movement, adventures and growth. You know the calcarea, we all know about the calcarea. Always found the support and security. This is what represent into the lycopodium. And the next, the other need of the human is represented by the sulfur. And what is that? It is a need for the name, ego, image, and need to be somebody important. Show offness. To matter, to be recognized, to be counted in. And need to be proud of oneself, to think highly oneself, to have a good self-image. The psychosis represent the good self-image. And what the lycopodium represent? Lycopodium represent the preciously this phase in human life and become person's remedy when he or she gets stuck in this phase and cannot think anything else. Stuck in this phase. And what the lycopodium does represent constant struggle between cowardice and egotism. Struggle between lack of confidence and haughtiness, and the timidity and dictatorial attitude. And person is scared of those in authority, but those for whom he can represent it, he rude and contemptuous. Okay, this is what the lycopodium. We all know that word about the lycopodium, heart with inferior and the soft with superior. And the anger is shows toward the inferior people, not the authorities. And this is what the typicalness of life. When nux किसी को नहीं देखता, and this is how his anger is represented. So here the difference of lycopodium and nux, the main both represent what constipation, but the nux constipation caused by irregular peristaltic action, and the lycopodium the constipation caused by spasmodic contraction of anus, which prevents the stool and cause the great pain. And the both the nux vomica and the lycopodium is discontented, impatient, and misanthropic. And the nux is snappy only when you go near them. Lycopodium patient go on the other hand will go a long distance out of his way to pick a quarrel with his neighbor, and they are fault finding, domineering, vehement, intolerance of contradiction, mentioned by N.M. Chaudhary. So nux people, if you pinch him, then he become angry. If you irritated him, then he goes out of control. But lyco, aap bel mujhe maar. This type of personality he represents. So nux vomica is not cowardice inside. He is more rash and audacious, more forceful and expressive, more impulse and explosiveness. From young age, we can see the difference between the lyco as a shy, introverted child. Nux vomica childhood is very daring and mischievousness is represented. In adulthood, when he is a job, the nux vomica will do it by hook or crook, breaking through all the obstacles in his face like a roller coaster. He can often get violent. Lycopodium is indeed not so ardent and daring. He wakes each step and does not rush into the things. If the obstacle is big, he hesitates and may even withdraw. This is what the difference. So the one word we can represent that despondent. What is the meaning of despondent? It's a feeling or showing extreme discouragement, dejection and depression. That's why this stage come into the lycopodium. There is a sadness, gloom, the world may come to an end, or an whole family may die, or the house may burn up. This seems to be nothing cheering. The future looked back. After moving about a while, this passes off and the state precedes the condition of insanity. This will present into the lycopodium. and the finally suicidal stage come and aversion to the life. Toward the more syphilis, the aversion to the life. And see how this remedy take hold of the will and actually destroy the man will to life. The aversion of the life. Here some word, there is apprehensiveness, difficult breathing and fearfulness, anxious thoughts as if about to die, want of self-confidence, indecision, timidity, loss of confidence in himself and in everything, misanthropic, flies even from his own children, distrustful, suspiciousness, fault finding, oversensitive to pain, patient is beside himself. Elements from fright, anger, mortification, vexation with reverse displeasure. This is what in the lycopodium. Okay. Elements from fright, anger, mortification, reserved displeasure, and sensitive to irritable, peevish, cross on waking, easily excited to anger, cannot bear the opposition, contradiction, aggravation, and is speedily beside herself. Lyco is tired of mind, chronic fatigue, forgetfulness, aversion to undertaking anything new, to appearing in a new role, and aversion to his own work. Because of that, he is not reaching at the stage when the nurse is reached. Because nurse is very goal oriented. He reached the one, win this battle, and then goes ahead. And the Lyco want this, and stuck in this, and the complaint is arise. So here some rubric. There is anxiety. We see this both rubric. The heart region, anxiety, the Lyco, the stomach, Lyco, the smiling anger with, the Lyco is a single remedy. Irritability, stool during diarrhea, eruption after suppress, the lycopodium. Irritability alternating with liveness extreme, the Lyco is a single remedy. So now the next one. Sorry, says that more complementary to Nux vomica, the Hepart sulf. The Hepart sulf. Okay. So the journey of Hepar is taking too much care of others and ending into the intense irritability and anger. You can see the word from caring toward the irritability and anger. So Hepar sulf is represent the violent extreme of the calcareous sulf. No, beautifully mentioned by the Partha. The ferocious want to kill those who offend him and want to set the things on the fire. You see the syphilis. The dreadful irritability, even to most extreme violence and threatening to end in the murder and arson. Mentioned by Glory. Whose murder भी कर सकता है. That much the syphilitic phase is coming. You see this. So why this is happening? The dissatisfaction with oneself and others, dreamy, atrabilious mood, the sort of ferocious spleens, as though the one could murder a man in a cold blood, even in person who are the generally of a merry and benevolent disposition. So why this happen into the Hepar sulf? The carings toward the anger and vexation and irritability. He feels that the people upon whom he depended and support push him down and treat him badly and humiliated him. This is what is me feeling. He become very violent, so much so that he wants to set things on the fire and want to kill. He is a very hurried, especially in speech, quarrelsome and very dissatisfied, nothing pleases him, and there is him a great touchiness. Impulsiveness more suicide. If annoyed sufficiently and suddenly will get into the sudden impulse to kill. The mother looking after the child will turn around and hit it and with handling and may break one arm. And may sometimes kill. You can see this, okay, the killing his own child. You can see the why this is happening. And this is what the reason. The feeling upon whom he dependent, support, push him down and treat him badly. So here, some rubric of Hepar sulf, the clear desire to threatening to wife and children. The single remedy is the Hepar sulf. Anger, sudden paroxysmal reason without the Hepar. The forgetfulness and anger vexation with the Hepar. The kill desire to barber want to kill his customer. You know, बहुत बोलता रहता है पीछे से. And this is what the sudden impulse that shows into the Hepar sulf. killing desire to sudden impulse to offense for the slight, hepar, murk, nux, omega. We'll see the which type of remedies come. When we see the rubrics of irritability, when we see the anger, now we see the rubric, you can see the how the dimension of remedy is changed. And this is what shows the disposition of that remedy. Now, we going toward the another expression of anger. This is what? Indignation. Indignation means the anger as a result of something injustice. And that is when you find the rubric, there is a most marked remedy is a colocin and staphyseria. So here are some rubrics of indignation. The mind prostration of mind, indignation, aggravation, staphyseria, the single remedy. Indignation, hypocrisy of society for. Indignation, emission, pollution after seminal. Indignation, pregnancy. Dream, angry indignation over an event she is unable to stop. Lack is come. Mortification elements from aggravation, mental and emotional consequence. Indignation means there is a colocynth and staphyseria. Indignation, disrespect to. The staphy is come. Grief, silent, pent up. Indignation with. You can see the remedy. Colocynth and staphyseria. Indignation, misdeed of others with. You can see higher mark remedy, the staphy. The myth, hilarity, liveliness, alternating with indignation, first off. You can see the remedies, the aurum, capsicum, proculus, ignatia, anger elements from aggravation, indignation with. You can see the remedies coming. The higher mark is colocynth and staphyseria. This is how the repertory is represented disposition. You can see that how frequently it is coming. So now let's see the colocynth. So we know the one symptoms of colocynth, the pain is ameliorated by bending. Okay. So mind extremely irritable like a chamomilla. Impatient, suspense hater. You can see the suspense hater, the word. Anger with indignation, with silent grief, like ignatia and natrum, and from mortification and insult, others as well, and from pain. Anger with indignation. किया इसने बोला मुझे, especially she is into the children. Okay, when the गलती किसी और ने की, डाटा किसी और को. That maybe shows the, especially into the employees. Okay, nowadays it sees that the anger with indignation, depression, joyless, from reverses and frustration, psychoneurosis, absence of religious feeling, and cause emotion, vexation, chagrin, anger, and indignation. You can see the colic from anger with indignation, the beater from bending double and draws in the upright position while standing or bending backward. This is what? Typicalness. The diarrhea and dysentery from anger with indignation, and the most awful, tenesmus during stool and urging to stool with the colic. And it has the frightful nerve pain in spine, in limb, in head, in ovaries, especially it causes by the anger and indignation. See that everything is from the indignation and anger. The next is contrast colocynth with the chamomilla. That both the chamomilla and colocynth have a colic from the fit of anger. We will see also into the chamomilla. But other affection from the same cause, the chamomilla succeed in the colic of children if there is a much wind which distended the abdomen, and the child tosses about in agony and but does not double up like the colocynth. The colocynth typicalness is the bending forward and the ameliorated the pain. And indignation, irritability in there is a colocynth remedy. So you can see the colocynth in the clinic. The patient is come with the sudden pain and acuteness, and when we find out the history, there is a indignation is present. Okay, इसने किया डाटा मुझे, किया किसी और ने, भरा किसी और ने. This type of typicalness in C. And the well mark is the irritability expressed into this face. Okay, he is not like to be answered like iota. And this is what the state. So here some rubric: the pain, anger, vexation, aggravation, indignation. There is the two remedy. Again the colo and staphy. Vomiting, anger, vexation, aggravation, indignation with. You see the remedy. Remedies come: chamomilla, colocynth, staphy. The menses suppressed, anger, vexation, aggravation, indignation with. You can see the remedy again. the chamomilla, colocin, staphy. Anger, vexation, aggravation, indignation with, you see, anger, vexation, aggravation, indignation with stomach, epica is also coming. Mortification, elements from aggravation, mental and emotional consequence, indignation with, the two remedy, colo and staphy. The striking, screaming, shooting, pain during limb, in hip to knee, from stitches, tearing, motion, aggravation in sciatica. You see the colocin is coming. Unconsciousness, coma, pain from face in, again face पर दिखता है, the colocin and glonoin. Anger elements from aggravation, bitterness with the colocin. The Kant is also point out that expression of colocin, face is one of anxiety from the severity of suffering. No matter whether pain means face is distorted. So beautiful sentence. How he expressed the insightness of his pain. So now another one is very close to the colocin. This is the staphyseria. So elements from indignation, vexation and reverse displeasure. Peculiar mentalities complain that come from pent up wrath, suppress anger and suppress the feeling. What is coming into the staphyseria? It is the suppression. He suppress, then the complaint is arise. The speechless from suppress the indignation, he control it and then suffer from it. Staphyseria patient, when he has to control himself and goes all the pieces and trembles from head to foot, loss his voice, his ability to work and cannot sleep, and headache follows. So graphically by the Kant, so beautifully this expresses the staphyseria. The complaint causes irritability, bladder with the frequent urging to urinate, lasting many days after suppressed weight and after insult. You can see the sentence after insult and rape. One shows the anger, suppressed, and one shows the indignation. The great indignation about the thing done by other or by himself and gives about the consequence. And the sentence in Pathos Materia Medica that very sensitive to what others say about him. And the feeling seems to be that his survival dependent on maintaining a very high reputation and the self-control of being a very superior, calm and dignified person who wins the respect of all by his noble action, a person who is much above the ordinary. This is what he feels, that the noble personality. That's why he suppressed anger but maintained his dignity to show off, and that's why the complaint is arise. The main feeling is dignity and honor for the staphyseria and the person of the noble birth. He feels that insult is better than the losing his dignity. He cannot lose his temper, his control, and become abusive and violent. The colocin become aggressive in these conditions because he express the anger in his action, but staphyseria is not. He suppressed. That much suppressed that is represented at the physical level as a trembling. And the trembling of hand is also represented into the staphyseria. At the point the staphyseria person can find is too much to keep control and start to lose it, and the first sign is found as a suppressed anger beginning to surface. And these are the first sign of losing control. You can see how the staphyseria patient is. And what the symptom? The first line of symptom, when he suppresses their anger. This is what trembling in anger, voice lost during anger, face red in anger, weakness after anger, hemiplegia after anger. Anger throws the things away and strike desire to be. This is how he represent. You can see that. You can imagine the employee in some like a corporate company. Okay, this boss is like the now Swamika, insulting the patient, the person. The person is what? Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Ha, sir. And this is what type of, because he maintained that respect. But his goal is to achieving something. That's why वो पंगे नहीं लेता है. And this is how represent. Suppress, suppress, suppress. But the mirror image is what? And this is how the staphyseria. When the situation has become desperate and he feels the demand on him too much, he may throw to the winds all his reputation and honor and become the opposite. Now the oppositeness is come. Person of ill repute who is looked down upon, treated with the most disrespect, here we have the rubric libertinism. The opposite state is coming. The physical level, there may be the loss of control over the muscles. Okay, so beautifully this expresses the syphilis. He gets the conversion from being unjust accused. This is what represent and psychosyphilitic state is coming here. The conversion spasm accused after being unjust. You can see that sentence into the rubric. The conversion spasm accused after being unjustly. Staphysalia. Mortification elements from aggravation mental. We see this rubric before. The consequence indignation with the colossus and staphysalia. The morose sulky sexual excess after staphy. Staphy is not represent their sexual excessiveness because it shows that अगर मैंने किसी को दिखाया तो मेरी reputation down हो जाएगी. That's why it also suppresses sexual desire. The dwell event on past disagreeable, the sexual matters. Anxiety has about sexual dwelling on sexual subjects. Staphy is a single remedy. The conversion, spasm, indignation, aggravation, the nerve sensitivity is coming. The unconsciousness, coma, conversion after, accused after being unjustly. There is a staphysalia. The fear, self-control, losing. Why this is fear? Because about his dignity, his reputation, his honor. Fear rate to fly into a calcaria, China, Nosomika, staphysalia. Female genitalia, menses, suppress anger, vexation, aggravation, indignation with. We'll see the remedy. Skin, eruption, psoriasis, excitement, emotional after suppress, the staphysalia. Speech, voice, wanting loss, indignation from suppress, staphy. Because the injustice he cannot speak. That's why the mental state is represented into the physical state, that I cannot speak and loses the voice. Hysteria, seek after being insulted and subduing his rate, staphysalia. Mortification, elements from aggravation. Mental and emotional consequence, dignified to fight. To subdued dread, went homesick and trembling, exhausted. The staphysalia, the single remedy. So now the difference between the colosine and staphysalia is the colosine once angry does not suppress his anger. He threw out his anger outside, but staphy is not throw out. The staphy is always take care about his honor, avoid the hurting the people because of dignity, because of his psychosis. Not his suppress his anger as a main aim is to achieve his ambition and goal. He did not represent his anger toward the higher authorities. Elements from emotion suppressed, sensitive to moral impression. And angry but anger never. You can see this sentence, angry but anger never. Now the colosine cannot control his emotion, he never care about the other will feel about. And the reverse, lack of moral feeling wanted. So now we see some natrum. So how the natrum is represent his anger. So when we talk about the natrum, so there is a natrum card, is a more earthy remedy. The natrum nude, the suppression of emotional pain, and the natrum sulf is a fiery natrum. Because natrum sulf goes toward the suicidal disposition because of disappointmentness. Now we see the natrum nude. So elements from betrayed or disappointed by the person her trust and depending on, and by the one she loves. Every complaint starts from here. Disappointment. So you can see the best to be nurturing and caring and make her go out of her way for others. सब कुछ करेगी, सबकी care करेगी. And this remedy is so beautifully explained by Dr. Drusty in his lecture. So beautiful. I just put light on some things. She believes that there is something wrong with her and either she is not good enough, not good looking enough. Delusion she looked when looking in mirror, and all that she has not done enough. And this is why the other person with this disappear or leave her. What is feeling that मुझ में ही कोई कमी है. That's why they doing with this to me. And now when she hurt, she withdraws completely. And there is a great sadness, silent grief, weeping when alone, with aversion to consolation. And this is how she goes on. बहुत care करती है, बहुत प्यार करती है, and when that's not come back, And this is what the complaint is arise. There is a bitterness, tremendous anger, irritability, hatred and malice. She dwell on past disagreeable occurrences, unable to forget them. Revengefulness is come. The mentally nectar mule is irritable, hate, fuse and consolation. Weeps more or flies into the passion if consoled. The nectar mule tries to remember old disagreeable things, old insults, and the purpose of brooding over them and being miserable. That's why there is a consolation aggravation. So beautifully mentioned by the Tyler. So Kant says that the nectar mule is a chronic of ignatia. And where the later is too superficial cures, fall in love with the wrong person. Marry the married man. And break her heart, he absurdly obsessed by the foolish passion for a married man fall in love with the coachman. The nectar mule brings order and sanity. This is how the natrum. Natrum mule is remedy for many hysterical conditions. The weeping and laughing, rage with cursing and blasphemy. The remedy of unrequired affection and the inability to control the affection. The clothes they are unwise but control cannot help it. Of awful headache with no relief to the head till after sweat. On the other hand, the headache and the greater the pain, the greater the sweat which does not leave is mentioned by the Kant. You can see that weeping and laughing and rage with the cursing and blaspheming. How the natrum goes towards the syphilis. So here are some rubrics. The way of life, irritability, which you can see natrum card is coming. Irritability, thunderstorm before, natrum card. Irritability, stitches in rectum with the constipation, natrum mule. Coition, aggravation, easy, light-hearted at the first and later ill humor, the natrum mule. Here the very beautiful difference given in the materia medica, the natrum mule and the sepia. Sepia aversion to coition, and the natrum mules want coition, and because he has a hope, because of them the relationship start again. The rage, fury, consolation, aggravation, the natrum mule. Hysteria, raging, natrum mule. Anger, love, disappointment from, hyoscyamus, natrum is coming. Injures, satiety of life, must use the control to prevent the shooting himself, natrum self, and the suicidal tendency of the natrum self. That's why he is a fiery natrum. Suicidal disposition, shooting by use, all self-control must, natrum self. Mania, madness, periodicity, sadness with natrum self. So natrum self is one step higher than the natrum mule. You can see here the difference of the sepia and natrum mule. The sepia is what going toward the indifferenceness, and the natrum mule is more emotional than the sepia. Indifference to those love best, aversion to occupation, to family, irritability, easily offend. This is what sepia. Natrum, she will be let down or betrayed or disappointed by the person her trust depend on or by the one who she loves. And the force to undertake the thing opposed to her intention and to do what she does not want to do. One type in sepia, उसको नहीं करना है वो उसको करना पड़ रहा है, उसको dominate कर रहा है. That's why the complaint. Natrum mule has an emotional consequence. This has a disappointment, and the main problem of natrum is not between the relationship. You can see this line. The main problem of natrum mule is not between the relationship and occupation, as in sepia. It is the between the making and breaking the relationship, and there is a no contradiction of will into the natrum mule. Sepia, उसको balance करना पड़ रहा है, work और family. That's why she is so much frustration and go out of control. And natrum, उसका सिर्फ एक ही काम है, breaking and the making the relationship. And the acute of sepia is so beautifully mentioned here. The acute of sepia is nux vomica. The nux vomica is concerned with occupation and business. The nux vomica has the same quality, the business, the work. With the tremendous irritability has the many symptoms similar to the sepia, the chilly, constipated, etc. In an acute situation of the business failure, the sepia person can meet the nux vomica. And now we all know about the sepia. Okay, this is what how the differentiation of the sepia and natrum mule. Okay, so in college we also represent the sepia as a sepia, never sepia. In the terminology we use that. So I added something in natrum mute that we can remember easily. The sepia is never sepia. Natrum what say? The pia, pia, oh pia, pia. And then what? Pia run away. And then what state is coming that ye tune
Start here.
and then he goes into the revengeful state and that song. कि ठुकरा के मेरा प्यार मेरा इंतकाम देखेगी, and that how natrum is goes so beautifully that materia medica in college the Dr. Samir Upadhyay sir is in every lecture he says that so beautiful remedy. We think that what is beautiful in it. Now we understand that everything is beautiful because of materia medica. So now the another remedy is ignatia. We see the acute of natrum mute. Acute of natrum mute, the great changeability of mental condition in the incredibly short time. And the joy change into the sorrow, laughing into the weeping, and mental calm into the furious rage, so on. This is how his changeability. The TD with the natrum mute and pulsatilla weep to show off to others. And natrum mute inconsolable, but the ignatia is introspective. He grooming inside. इतनी खुन्नस रखती है, किसी को दिखाती नहीं है, रोती भी अकेले में है. This is what ignatia is. Here difference with the Nux vomica, so beautifully mentioned by the N.M. Chaudhary, that comparison with the Nux is nervous temperament. It also represent into the ignatia. The sensitivity easily excitable. The nature that is quick in the perceiving, promote in appreciation, and rapid in execution. Irritable, quarrelsome, spiteful, and nervous disposition like the Nux. Vehement, careful, zealous in disposition. He will snap you right in the face. The Nux vomica. And the what? How it differentiates with it? Equally intelligent, sensitive. It is more for a forbearing nature. She is taciturn, sad, and fond of solitude. She weeps. She sings in silence, perceived by her imaginary aggressor and her friend. You know, perceiving that imagination. अच्छा उसने ये किया, ऐसा हुआ, then it goes into the out of control. It is the things that furrows deep on her mental structure and leave the permanent evil bearing effect. बोलती नहीं है, लेकिन खुन्नस बहुत रखती है. Ignatia is considered to be the great remedy for the hysteria. The Durham so beautifully remarked that all of our remedies, none so completely correspond to the hysteria, so often cure it has a ignatia. And throughout noticing the great melancholy, changeability of mental state, despondency, sensation as if stomach were hanging on a thread, nausea, all are characteristic indication. We had globules hystericus very well marked, and the patient fall into the state of semi-unconsciousness, clenches her thumb, foams to her mouth, and last return to the consciousness with the long drawn sign. And the causation factor is found into the long concentrated grief, suppressed anger, disappointment, love, and indignation. Here also there is a indignation is represent. So here some rubric of ignatia. We see that another remedy is natrum mute, hysterical, alternating with hysteria, ignatia. Delusion, imagination, doomed being. Soul cannot be saved, cried much and rages. Single remedy, there is ignatia. The rage, fury, hemorrhage from suppressed, ignatia. Unconsciousness, coma, semi-consciousness, hysteria. Hysteria is represented in every terminology, the ignatia. The hysteria, love from disappointed, ignatia. Striking, screaming and shouting for hysteria in the single remedy. It is the ignatia. So now we going toward the higher syphilis. Now goes toward the upward. The journey toward the rage, fury, breath and mania. So when we talk about the mania, here see some rubrics. Weeping, tearful mood, rage in after. Arnica, single remedy. Quiet disposition alternating with rage. Here what we see, there is a syphilis, suddenness. Direct alternation. This is the solo-syphilitic state may represent. Hyoscyamus is here. The quiet disposition alternating with the rage. The weeping, tearful mood, anger, vexation with the violent quarreling, even to extreme malaise and rancor. Moscow is a single remedy. The mania, madness, sudden, paroxysmal, rage, delirium, indignation, and sadness with an headache, the digitalis. how the digitalis headache is represented. So look at this. Crying, look at the eyes, look at the face and tearing of eyes. This is the facial expression. The way of life alternating with rape, belladonna. Love, disappointment, unhappy elements from aggravated rape. Again in hyoscyamus, the disappointment represent that. किसी ने सही कहा है, इश्क नहीं आसान, आँख का दरिया है और तैर के जाना है, लेकिन here the syphilis is come, पूरा syphilis में ही डूब जाता है. Everywhere there is a disappointment. How it goes on? Laughing, raging, stemonium. Remorse, repentance, dread after paroxysm of make earnest apologies. I see. The rage, fury, sudden paroxysm, provocation after slightest lack is come. Hysteria, again, ragging, netromute. The rage, fury, pulling hair of the bystanders is belladonna. The rage, fury, taking up children on big stemonium. Gesture, make grasping, raging, stemonium. Rage, fury, knows his relative does not, belladonna. Insanity of losing a risen rage before, tarantula. Rage, fury, children toward her. Dictatorial, rage with. You can see causticum come here. Causticum also come into the indignation because it is sympathetic to toward an injustice. The despair, rage, bordering on cursing and imprecations with nitric acid. Delusion, imagination, doomed being, soul cannot. You see this rubric in Ignatia. The rare fury, warm complaints in Scargovage. Rare fury touch. You can see warm complaining. We see Sina. But there is anger. What here is rage. There is a higherness is shows here. Because Sina is a hot sodic remedy. It not goes into that tendency. Rare fury touch renewed by sex by someone her own. Rare fury love disappointment from the hyoscyamus. We see this. Okay. So here let's see the first remedy, the hyoscyamus. So mania of quarrelsome and obscene character. The very suspiciousness, talkative, obscene, lascivious mania. Here the main is the lascivious mania of the hyoscyamus. Uncovered body, jealousy, foolish, great hilarity. Inclined to laugh at everything and delirium with attempt to run away, low muttering speech, constant carphologia and deep stupor. What is the meaning of that? The carphologia is a linked picking behavior that is often a symptoms of the delirious state. Picking bed sheet, often seen into the delirious or semi-conscious patients. Action of picking or grasping at imaginary object as well as a patient is on clothes and bed lines. Rage with the desire to strike, bite, fight, insult, scold and to kill. And the syphilophobia, the fear of disease of syphilis. So beautifully mentioned by the Pathak. The main feeling, now here the problem is arise. The main feeling of hyoscyamus is that being suddenly let down, disappointment, betrayed and deserted by the person on whom one is completely dependent. And this is what happened into the hyoscyamus. This situation causes in the patient acute fear and panic. It also causes a variety of reactions which are on the one hand attractive, loquacity, jesting, sexuality and on the other hand threatening, violence, striking and desire to kill. You can imagine the hyoscyamus as a person who cheated by her partner. Okay, who cheated by the partner and then goes into the state because the one emotion is coming that his partner is cheated, इसने मुझे धोखा दिया, that may be harmful to me and may be harming me. That's why there is a fear of being poisoned. It's come into the hyoscyamus. And other way, in the psychosis, what she is doing or he is doing, that okay, for his love, he start laughing, start talking, and the explode. Like the sexual excess is coming, like the shamelessness is coming, and to impress other, for impress the partner, and then what? Then she get hurt, and that goes into the out of control. You can see the kill desire, and because of that feeling that okay, मैंने इतना कुछ किया, इतना कुछ attention के लिए किया, फिर भी कुछ नहीं मिल रहा है, and then she has anger, she has a violence. Okay, she has a rage, fury, and goes out of control, and the killing. So here see the love, disappointment, unhappy elements from aggravated raging. Hyoscyamus, quiet disposition alternating with rage. Hyoscyamus, rage, fury, love, disappointment from hyoscyamus. Insanity, madness, erotic, sexual jealousy with hyoscyamus. We know the hyoscyamus for shamelessness. Sexually shameless, exploring that part because of her attention. And when she get the attention that she doing this is what called the shamelessness. Jealousy, murder with attempt to hyoscyamus. Delusion, imagination, murder someone that he has to arsenic, hyoscyamus, and lachesis. So lachesis is also coming with the hyoscyamus in the pattern of jealousy. The lachesis has a jealousy and hyoscyamus has a jealousy. When their partner has affair with someone, he is jealous, he is angry, he is irritable. But here the hyoscyamus is very naive and not that much like the lachesis. The lachesis watchfulness, the lachesis quickness. And that's why we differentiate here with the lachesis jealousy. Jealousy kill desire too. You can see how the jealousy is coming. It kill desire too. Hyoscyamus and lachesis. Delusion, imagination, persecuted that he is delirium in tremens, the hyoscyamus. Delusion, imagination, witched of denies having anything to do with them. And the delirium after being accused of that, hyoscyamus. Here the thing, clothing and night dress, bed and clothing, delirium in hyoscyamus. Also the delirium he exposed. You can see this. Weeping, tearful mood alternating with laughing, mania and wild nursing, hyoscyamus. Mania, madness, ungovernable, hyoscyamus. Delirium, tremens, mania. We see this here also alcoholism is come. Bad remaining, desire to refuse to rise and dress herself will give no reason for not doing so in mania, hyoscyamus and Repertory. Insanity, madness, wedding preparation of. You see the wedding preparation of hyoscyamus. Tapping himself, hyoscyamus. Uncovered sexual part, hyo. Jealousy with talk and incoherent, hyoscyamus. Attack people with knife, hyo. Embrace the stove and wishes to climb upon it as on tree, hyo. So now another, like the hyoscyamus, this goes out of control. Stemmonium. So light and dark. So beautiful work explaining the hyoscyamus is light and dark. Every complaint is arise from darkness. So beautifully mentioned into the soul of remedy that darkness is represented instability and hopelessness. And this is what the main feeling of the stemmonium. That they feel left out. They feel alone. And especially at the night. So he's that much terror and that much frightfulness that all the symptoms arise. These all are the reaction of him. Because of terror and because of fright. When considering the stemmonium, the idea of violence comes into the mind. Full of excitement, rage, everything is tumultuous, violent, the face look wild, anxious, fearful, the eyes are fixed on the certain object. Face flushes, hot, raging fever with the hot head and the cold extremities, the violent delirium. This is what the stemmonium. In his anxiety, he often turns away from the light. One in dark is aggravated, especially if the light is bright. In light and dark, he desire for light, but which type of light? He need the hope. He can consider that because of darkness he loses his hope, and this is how aggravated. And the bright light aggravation. Here the bright light aggravation. Stemmonium is like the earthquake in its violence. The mind is in a uproar, cursing, tearing the clothes, violent speech, frenzy, erotomania, exposing of others. These symptoms are found into the continued fever, insanity, cerebral congestion. It is useful in the violent typhoid. Delirium, bland, murmuring, violent, foolish, joyful, loquacious, incoherent, chattering with the open eyes, vivid, merry with the spasmodic laughter, furious, raving, wild, attempt to stab, bite, with the quest notions, and with the sexual excitement, fear as if dog were attacking him. We see this constant fright. Constant fright, that why for his survival he is attacking. The main problem here is surviving. If he is dead, everything surrounding this is a terror. everything surrounding he is going to attack on him. That's why in his defense, in his survival, he is attacking back. And this is how it represent into his symptoms. He tried to kill for his survival. You can see. He sings amorous songs, uterus, obsessed speech, crazy with distress, jump out of bed, act as if the bed were being dropped from under him. The screams until he is a horse and loses his voice. The screeches and the screaming the day and night with the fever, with the forms of mania. The hasty, hurried with all his might if he wants to go on the another plane. The violent laughter with sardonic expression on his face. You can see this one. How he is. He sees the animal, ghost, angel, departed spirit, devil and knows they are not real, but the later he is confirmed of it and he has this hallucination, especially in dark. So aggravated in darkness. He sees there is a hopelessness. He always wants the support and hope, and when he loses it, then the complaint is arise. We see some rubrics that they presentment of alternating with rake, stremonium, gesture, me grasping, rake in. We see this stremonium, laughter, rake in. Rake, fury alternating with conversion, alternating with the presentment of tail, stremonium. Rake, fury, tossing about in bed. Made, innumerable sign not understood, stremonium. Mania, madness, claps hand. You can see that mania, madness, claps hand, stremonium. Inconsolable, alone, dark, aggravation, stremonium. Weeping, tearful, mood, darkly. Everything here is a frighten and terror. Fear, dark of closing eyes, aggravation. Delusion, imaginations, alone in wilderness. उसकी ये फीलिंग होती है कि मुझे सबने अकेला छोड़ दिया इस खतरनाक दुनिया में और मुझे अब सर्वाइव करना है. That's why he fight. No, fighting not this way of, so this is way of the killing, attacking other for his protection. The company desire for mania in stremonium. Delirium, tremens, mania to voice hers and personifies voice, stremonium. Religious affection, mania, look with, stremonium. Place two X across each other in order to split the food, stremonium. Mania, madness, light, company wants, stremonium. Hallucination of sight with, stremonium. Aphonia with the mental excitement, stremonium. You see conversion during the paroxysm every half hour, stremonium. Alternating with the tetanic conversion, lies on his back, knees, thighs, flexed, hand joint, stremonium. The fear conversion during delivery, parturition after, perfurous, stremonium. Gesture may grasping genital conversion during the stremonium. So now, this is what we can see, the outbustings remedy. Sudden syphilis, sudden busting. So we look like this, no? Sudden busting. We can remember like this. You can more for the acuteness. And now the another one is, it's like Hyoscyamus in stremonium. It's a belladonna. So belladonna is also maniacal condition. The violence run through the belladonna. The violence and suddenness. You can see the suddenness. In every Hyoscyamus stremonium, you see how the process is going on. So from the irritability to from the rage and fury. How the anger is expressing in different phases. We associated belladonna in our mind with the sudden violence and how this belladonna is differentiated. What is the Hyoscyamus? What is the main feeling of Hyoscyamus?
Betrayal.
Betrayal.
Disappointed by person who is dependent on and want attention and care and love and nurture.
What is about the stremonium? It's from darkness. We want hope. And what in the belladonna? Suddenness, that violence with red face. And that is what the differentiating him. The violent pain, violent headache, violent throbbings, violent delirium, violent mania, violent starts and twitching and violent convulsions. Everything is violent. In belladonna, everything is violent. And she attempted to bite and strike her attendant, broke into the fits of laughter, gnashed her teeth, and the head was hot face red and the look wild and fires. This is how we look. Okay. So you can imagine this type of particular personality. Inclination to bite those around him and to tear everything about him to pieces. The ragging, violent fury, furious delirium. She pulled the hair of the bystanders. Such a fury with the burning heat of the body and open, staring, immovable eyes. She had to be held constantly lest she should attack someone, and when thus held so that she could not move, she spat continuously at those around her. Okay. See the hallucinations of it. Hallucination sees monster. Hideous faces, delirium, frightful image, furious rage, bite, strike, desire to accept, loss of consciousness, decline to talk, perversity, with the tear, acuteness of all senses and changeable. This is how the belladonna. You can see that. You can imagine the person who can tear in the clothing and tearing the and try to attack on somebody. You can see. And this is what the trio of delirium. This is what the belladonna, stramonium, hyoscyamus. And this is what the difference here. The belladonna is a sudden violence. The furious mania, the high rise temperature with the red-faced Velma and throbbing carotid. And the hyoscyamus has a lascivious mania. Muttering, fever, low grade. The face pale or bluish, melancholia, jerking Velma, the prostration, the weakness. And this is how the hyoscyamus and belladonna is differ. If you see in rubric that the date desire alternating with rage, the belladonna. Besides sly rage during the belladonna. The delirium cheerful guy alternating with rage, the belladonna. Howling rage after in children, belladonna. Medicine form forcible administration of belladonna. Weary of life alternating with rage, belladonna. Pulling hair, belladonna. No, his relative does not, belladonna. Scratching themselves, खुद को ही scratch करके, that type of mania. Harmful to other, harmful also by himself, belladonna. Spit and bite at those around him, and belladonna. Runs about the neck, belladonna and hyoscyamus. This is also seen into the belladonna also. So now, another violent remedy. So this tarantula is so beautifully explained by the Dr. Bansi in the spinal lecture. But we see only the tarantula here, that sudden alternation of emotion, foxy, destructive impulse and moral relaxation. You can see this. Must constantly busy herself or work. Sensitive to music, aversion to company, but want someone present. And ungrateful, discontented, guided by the winds. Pathak so beautifully mentioned that the Pathak give in this Materia Medica as a causation of tarantula, that the ill effect of unrequired love. Ill effect of unrequired love is a tarantism. The word tarantism is a term applied to the dancing mania set up in the person and beaten by the tan, and the cure is the music and dancing. And what music is amelioration in other remedy? There is a sepia. The heart complaint, the dancing and amelioration. That the Farrington is mentioned that when there are no observer, there is no hysteria. And when attention is directed to her, she begins to twinge. And you can find this type of personality, especially the children. One children is coming and constantly showing this, constantly do this movement. And when you talk with their parents and not give the attention to her, relax sometimes. Can you not found that what happening to him? But we have the solution. And see the symptoms given into the tarantula. The cunning attempt to feign paroxysm of the wild dancing. The wild dancing. Dr. Bansi shows some videos of that also. The dancing of the spider. The feeling of unreciprocated love or affection. The person has a feeling that he is not attractive enough and therefore does not get the attention she gave for. Here also included the psychosis, what he represents. There is included the wearing of bright color clothes, singing, dancing as in the discontent. Why? To taking the attention. Also the mischievousness, cunning, hysterical behavior, lasciviousness, shameless, exposing himself, even threatening all with the intention to attract the attention. So beautifully mentioned by the Dr. Sankaran sir. The sepia vs tarantula. The sepia comes close to the tarantula. The theme of tarantula is unrequited love and the need to be attractive. Dancing, attractive hysteria and the sarcasm are common to both. And the young sepia can often seem like the tarantula. Young sepia is often look like the tarantula. The tarantula can also be very industrious, but again the emphasis is more on the attractive behavior while the contraindication of will found in sepia is not present here. The deceitfulness, mischievous and speed are more prominent in tarantula in comparison to sepia. Okay, that's how the sepia and tarantula is differentiation. So now another violent remedy, mirth. We very commonly see the mirth child. So dominated, suppressed or contradicted by an extremely dictatorial authority, suppressed by higher authority. And what is survival? To fight them for life. And this is how they represent in his symptoms. The main theme of Mercury is violent, suicidal or homicidal. He has the impulse to kill anyone who contradicts him. He is defined toward authority to extent of killing or being killed. You can see the Gabbar. You can Gabbar movie to higher authority and fight and kill everybody. It's taken as a injustice form, as a form of indignation. He killing everybody. And mainly he fight with the higher authority for the justice. And this violence and anger is very sudden and impulsive. In this violent rage, he can kill quite easily, cold murder. And the very next moment he may be himself again, as though nothing had happened. In fact, they remain quite jovial. You can see, is also differentiated into the hyoscyamus. You can see quite jovial. पता ही नहीं चलता है कि मर्डर करके आया है. You can see this type of murderer. You can see killing with happy face, smiling with happy face to kill that person. The syphilitic, he has the delusion that he is surrounded by enemies and that everyone around is his enemy. He has to fight this way. This is what the main feeling. The Mercury person feels viciously attacked from all the sides. चारों तरफ से मुझ पर अटैक हो रहा है. मुझे कुछ ना कुछ रिएक्ट तो करना पड़ेगा मेरे सर्वाइवल में. The key desire to sudden impulse to thrust the child into the fire, into the delivery parturition after puerperal. You can see after delivery, you can see that how the symptoms it comes. Sometimes the mother is suffering from the bipolar disorder. And so many times sees that is harmful to his children. In this, so it's the single remedy mirth. The fear wrong committed something and kill herself. Mirth. See this rubric. See this single remedy. The kill desire to sudden impulse to husband, her beloved. Menses particularly during implored him to hide his razor. Mirth. Kill desire to contradiction from list. Hepar, mirth and
Proteus.
So happy, thank you after anger.
So it was a wonderful series of understanding of anger from irritable state to the higher version of syphilis to rage, violence and kill desire. Once again, we have a beautiful teaching of Binita. Thank you so much for sharing this wonderful knowledge with all of us, and thank you all online learners. Your inputs gives us inspiration to give a wonderful series again and again with you, sharing with you. Thank you all, and thanks a lot.